Welcome to Chaos Divided, your weekly dose of wholesome hammer. If you're a fan of what we do, we hope you'll subscribe and follow us along. And if you'd like to support us directly, you can find us on patreon.com/Chaos Divided 40K. This week, we're just chatting.
I'm a special guest, aren't I?
No, you're not a special guest. You're the OG.
I feel like a special guest.
You're the... your picture's
I feel like
on
I'm
the
in
logo.
your home. Thank you for inviting me. It's very lovely here. Your furniture, is it from Jakari?
Is it?
Can you imagine? Like
Having Jakari of furniture? No, I think you get arrested for that, actually.
Yes, that.
But yeah, this week we're just talking. I feel like Snurgle, you've maybe gone on your odyssey. You've seen the world, and
actually, kind of. I guess you could say that. Like I watched Sail GP that was in Halifax, and there was 10 nations in our harbor. So I guess I did go around the world. Met some people from Denmark, and met some people from England and Australia. So
that actually looked really cool.
It was incredible.
I watched some of the videos of it, and for those that have no idea what we're talking about, Sail GP, it's like I don't know. They're what are they called? Hydrofoil. They're like high-speed sailing boats.
Yep, catamarans. They're F50s. People parroted this. It was it's the Formula One, but for sailing. So, like Rolex is the sponsor. That's all you need to really know. So, did you
get a Rolex? Did you track one down?
No, but Halifax just popped up a new Rolex store because. You know, if you ever just need one, you can just go to Spring Garden.
If you ever just need a Rolex, casually, you're just like,
huge store. Yeah, you look at your wrist, you're like, you know what this wrist needs? A nice Rolex. Where can I get one? Oh, right across from the pita pit.
Right. Pita pit, also pretty tasty. So, that's a whole afternoon out.
Yeah.
We're not sponsored by the Rolex store in Halifax, by the way.
If you want to.
I wouldn't.
Can you imagine? Use your 10% discount.
Oh my god.
Chaos Divided.
At Rolex, yeah. They really want to break into that nerd demographic. They're like, hey, we know you like spending money on stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of spending money, we'll get into that later.
That's
maybe. Yeah, things are good.
That's good.
Like I described to Blushing Noiseburn, I went on my Lorgar journey. Is he in the warp?
Yeah, he has his own little domain in the warp.
Yeah, that's where I was.
You were just tattooing.
I was just chilling with Lorgar.
I do like the facial tattoos. I appreciate you drawing words all over your face.
And numbers.
Yes.
Yeah. Just in case I forget my phone number.
Can you imagine? You're like,
Lorgar's face is just a password.
It's those.
Has anyone ever read his face?
What
does it say?
Isn't it the Lectio Divinitatis that he wrote on himself?
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
But imagine if it, those little phone books used to leave by the phones, when, before cell phones or anything like that existed.
Okay.
Like the little, the family phone book, basically.
Yeah.
Imagine that's just what you have written all over your face. It's just everyone's contact information. You just have to look in a mirror to see it.
Yeah.
But no, so you've been staring out in the warp. You've been thinking and philosophizing and
100%. Actually, I've been kind of listening a lot about Marcus Aurelius and meditations lately. So I'll pop it on, do some gardening, and I feel so stoic after. I feel a sense of direction, so to speak. So
if you like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus is very good as well.
Okay.
He was also a Roman philosopher in the Stoic school, but spent more of his time as a Stoic philosopher and less of his time as a Roman emperor, so he had a little more time to write stuff. And
Right.
yeah, but it's
Yeah, and yeah, like him being an empire, just or an emperor, just kind of, I don't know. That's my brain thinking that he had this time to like write such a profound book, but he's an emperor.
He at the time would have probably been one of, if not the most powerful person on the planet.
Wow.
And yeah, if you haven't, for those listening, if you've never read Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, he struggled with a lot of like very human things, like not being consumed by power.
Human, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty thoughtful. So like maybe there's an extra little bit going on in his head, but yeah, not being like consumed by power, not being like ruled by sycophants, and not and I think the biggest part is not lying to yourself is a big thing that he talks about, and not being like dissuaded from like your own rationality. And as someone in his position, like that would have been constant, like him being manipulated and used and lied to, and that was his day-to-day struggle. And he really rather than succumbing to it really fought his whole life to just like be his own person and to think his own thoughts. And he's actually considered one of the 5 great emperors of Rome.
Because his dad was quite profound as well, right?
So he was adopted by an emperor. So that was the other thing, is he wasn't actually raised thinking he was going to be emperor. It was common.
He's a Primarch. Let's just call it what it is.
By like adoption, effectively, yeah. So he was he was a member of the nobility, but the emperor, I can't think of his name right now, adopted him, so that he became the next in line to the throne. So he didn't necessarily grow up thinking he was going to be emperor. That's why some of the early books are more just about him like trying to like just figure himself out. And then as you get further into them, as it moves further into time, like it becomes more about like the weight of responsibility and like doing what's right when it's hard to do what's right. And but in the beginning it was really him. He didn't necessarily want power. He didn't yearn for it. And I think that's also why he was picked, because he wasn't he was the one who kind of just wanted to be left to himself to better himself, and that's why he like continued to do that his whole life.
I think that's why I feel so connected to that, because I do feel empathy for that, or I feel a connection to that, because I've found myself in roles of being a leader and not wanting to be a leader, but it's just there's just this hole I fit sometimes, especially like in kitchens and stuff, and people will look at me for answers and I'll gladly give it to them and give direction, but it's not something I seek.
Yeah, there's something I can't remember exactly how he words it, but it's like to seek power is cowardice, but then to refuse it is also cowardice.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Like it's like his whole thing is like, you don't go out of your way to get power and prestige and influence, but if it's thrust upon you, then it's also bad to not rise to the occasion. So that's kind of, I think, how he saw himself, as like he didn't want it, but then he was given it, therefore he was going to do the best he possibly could at it. Like he wasn't going to shy away from doing what needed to be done just because he didn't want it. So it's that like, you don't seek it out, but you don't say no when it comes to you either.
Right.
Which is kind of an interesting like take on that, because I feel like a lot of times it's like, oh, you got to push for more and you got to want more. And his whole thing was kind of, you don't have to want more, but when it does come your way, you handle it with like grace and dignity.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been doing that in gardening lately.
I could talk about Marcus Aurelius all night. So
I future podcast idea, historical influences in Warhammer, like from our past, like kind of like the grimdark history in a sense.
That could be a lot of fun because Stoicism especially appears a lot in 40k actually. Like that's kind of like Rogal Dorn's whole thing.
Can I? So, obviously, when I look it up on YouTube, the algorithm starts to fit itself
Yeah,
according to what you're watching and you're listening. And it's very masculine. But I feel like so many females could benefit from this type of thought and discussion. So why does it seem like they gear to a male audience
I
more
think
than female?
I think there's two reasons. The first of which, a lot of people misunderstand Stoicism as being like the absence of emotion, and like
Okay.
that the goal is to not feel anything.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the goal with Stoicism is more so to be in control during the hard times and to sort of use your rational mind, but it's not to like abdicate responsibility for emotions. And I think there is a group of men that like don't know how to handle their feelings, and they just go, oh, if I just crush them all, this philosophy tells me that's okay, and it's
Destroy the sandcastle and
yeah,
everyone will be even.
which is not really like true, and it's not really like what Stoicism is based in. But what's interesting is actually after I started because I've actually found Stoicism to be very helpful in like the trying times of my life. And when you read like Meditations and Epictetus and Seneca, and really start like reading all of it and not just pulling out kind of your choice sections of it, it is more of a struggle. Like they're talking about like an ideal, not how they actually themselves live, and they talk about how they struggle with that. And like, Marcus Aurelius talks about wanting to be the best and constantly failing, and that's okay as long as you're still trying to be better. Whereas I think there's a lot of folks now that have kind of like picked out their choice pieces of that, and they can kind of use that to tell a story. So you see a lot of like modern philosophy podcasts and videos and things kind of like trying to put their own view into the lens of like these guys who realistically like were just flawed people trying to do better. And if you take out all of the flaws, then you have this whole like we turn it into an ideology, which is like the opposite of what a philosophy is supposed to be. Philosophy is supposed to challenge you to think differently and to think more and ask questions, whereas an ideology encourages you not to. And I have a feeling there's a lot of like those quotes that when you take them out of context, they prove points. It's the same as like any philosophical anything. Like, you can take a few words out of a book by Nietzsche and prove a whole bunch of things with it, but that doesn't mean that's even necessarily what he meant, and that's not necessarily what those words are meant to mean.
Or even like the Book of Revelations.
Yeah.
You can make anything the end of the world. Apocalypse.
The world has been supposed to have ending for what is it? There's is it a Sumerian?
2012.
No, that's
when it ended.
There's like an Assyrian tablet talking about 6,500 years old, talking about how like the youth of today are corrupt and they aren't as good as we were back in our day, and it's going to lead to the end of days. And it's just like you
can apply it now, like but you're stretching it. Like you can find reason in that, but no, that's been the end of the world for a very long time now. So almost since the beginning, honestly. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is definitely not the our usual conversation, but you know what? I think it's
I kind of want to backtrack to what I was trying to say as like an episode idea. I think perhaps rewording it as maybe finding the philosophy in the lore or in Warhammer. I feel like there's a lot in the books, and one thing that's been kind of plaguing my mind a little bit is like, what is Warhammer? And I was kind of thinking about it and kind of expanding it a little bit bigger, because I'll be frank, and I was talking to Blushing Noise Marine before we went live that like, how do I feel about Warhammer in my life right now? It's questionable. So I question things, and I'm questioning like, okay, what is Warhammer? And obviously the thing that I've heard a lot of is that it's a parody on fascism. But then I kind of see it more deeply as like a, I don't want to use the word brotherhood, but I feel like it's a connection of these people who are struggling and just trying to share what they're going through. I haven't read it, but this is what I kind of go off of, and the emotions that I've felt from people sharing the lore amongst each other and how that makes them feel. And I feel like there's more of a connection. So I'm interested to know more of the philosophy within. I feel like there's a lot to learn inside of it, because that's something that I thought of when I was thinking about what does Warhammer mean to me. Before, it was great. It was a great challenge for me. It was a way to learn a really complex game, and I learned a lot about me. It taught me a lot about consequences that I didn't really have much in my life. Like, I do good work, I do good. I do bad work, I do bad. But in the game, like, if I don't do this, this also happens. So I learned a lot with Warhammer, and then just expanding that thought with, again, the philosophy. So sorry, that was a little bit of a tangent on an episode idea.
No, but even expanding to kind of like what you can learn from even playing the game too, like what you just said about like, you know, Warhammer teaches you that you can do everything right and still lose, and you can do everything wrong and still win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is like a hard life lesson to learn, that like no matter, there are some times where you just lose, mm-hmm. and it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter, you know, how good you've done, you just lose. And same with, you know, sometimes you win and you have absolutely no idea why. And those are some of the, like, both of those are often the hardest moments, like, not when they're like little, but like the bigger times that those happen, because those happen throughout your life. Those moments of just like, I have no idea why this is happening. And those are some of the hardest ones to absorb and to like process.
Mm-hmm. But I found that through Warhammer and playing the game, because again, I'm coming from never have a community, never played a game, never nerded out, to then doing it, and playing these consequential type of games, whether that's D&D or Warhammer, and it just got me into a better practice of, okay, when a problem comes up, it's like the stoicism that I can't remember who said it, but it was it's not what essentially happens to you, it's how you react to what happens to you that matters the most. And so that's kind of how I've been feeling lately. And that's how I felt with Warhammer, and it felt awesome. I felt like I was getting life lessons that I could apply to real life.
Which is cool to think, you know, something like a hobby can give you that. Like, that's pretty awesome. Like, that's, like, I don't know. You know, I've talked to people who are, like, knitters, and they're like, oh, you know, like, I like knitting, but, like, most of them don't come out with, like, massive philosophical revelations about themselves. Some do, actually, which is also, they're very cool to talk to. But not everyone does.
Yeah, but there's, because they're so humble. They're so calm. Like, that's how they are. They're like a Yoda, but without the philosophy, just calmness.
Just
they're like a Buddha.
Centered balance.
Exactly. Because, like, look at the craftsmanship that some knitters can pull off.
Absolutely.
You give like me needles and yarn. I made one little like strand for my mom, and I was like, you know what? This was the best I could do, and she kind of giggled when I gave it to her, because she's like a fantastic crocheter. But she kept it, and she put it in her mirror, and like, this is the best I can do for you, Mom.
It's a hard skill. I used to do rug hooking when I was a kid, and I used to like that.
What was it?
Rug hooking.
Oh, hooking. I thought you said cooking. I was like, cooking rugs.
I was
Well,
round
that's
Dartmouth.
awesome.
We call it rugs, not drugs. No, it
So
was
it actually kind of like weirdly muted out for whatever you just said. So I'm sorry if I.
I got censored. But yeah, there is something about just like methodically doing something like that, and like you both have to pay attention, but then don't have to pay attention at the same time. It's like a weird,
It's a
like,
flow.
yeah, you're just kind of like in that like mid level. It's like yeah, it's a hard state to get into if you've never experienced it. But yeah, it's that like you both know what's going on, but you don't know what's going on, and you're just like, I don't know, watching TV or listening to music or something, and you're just sort of like life is happening around you in this like weird abstract way, which I think is
You're meditating.
Effectively, yeah.
Honestly, you're in the moment. You're meditating. I know what you mean. It's almost like the runner's high that people talk about. You get into this flow state. I get it actually through Beat Saber. I get into such a flow state. There's times where I'm like, am I even like, what is going on right now? Because I put on like expert plus mode, disappearing arrows. I put it on like the hardest mode ever, and I can like get these hits. And there's times where like I'm thinking about banking or the job, and I'm just connecting, and yeah, like I'm just in the moment, and yeah, you're almost like, it's almost like watching yourself from above. Like you're doing something that feels so natural, but to someone else that would just be hard. Like it would be very difficult for them, but you're just like, this is easy.
I didn't realize you were a Jedi this whole time. I feel like
yeah, I've been training. That's part of my meditations.
That's your yeah. I didn't realize you were gonna come back with the Force. Right. No, that's really cool, and I think yeah, like I sometimes get there painting. Just like
yeah,
my paint style is kind of encourages me to just like enter that like non-existent thinking stage where you're just like, oh, whatever happens. Which I really like, and that's partly why like when I do, like, we've talked about this, like I don't listen to music, I don't watch things when I paint, I just kind of like space out and just like let whatever happens, and like just man, just whatever's gonna be is gonna be.
Do you feel floaty? Ooh.
Sometimes. But then I come out of it and then you're just like, there's like this video I've seen on Instagram. It's like a 4-year-old kid gaining like sentience. It's like a joke, but it's like it's like a guy, and he's just like going around. There's like a bunch of kids screaming and yelling, and then he just like the like shell shock noise happens, and then he's just like, where am I? What am I?
Oh,
What's
I think
happening?
I have seen. Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like that's how I come out of painting. I'll just be like, dunk. Oh, what happened? How long has it been? Why am I hungry? Where am I? It's dark in here now. Like,
meanwhile, you're like in the most beautiful land you've ever seen, and
yeah.
Do you go anywhere in your venture?
I actually feel like it's one of those times I have a really hard time, like even meditating, having like nothing going on in my head, and I feel like that's actually where I get to, is the like, you know, ironically,
wow.
Like I feel like my head normally exists in like the realm of Slanesh, and there's just like noise and colors and everything everywhere all the time, and I feel like it actually helps me just like get it all out. So then it's just like there's always a song playing in my head.
Yeah,
I've never been able to stop that. I cannot, like, meditating, trying to like calm, cannot stop the music.
Confessions of a Noise Marine.
Literally, it's in there. I was born this way, I guess. I was a noise marine before I knew what a noise marine was.
I know what you mean, and it's super difficult to just stop. It is like for me, like I move around a lot. I like need to move. That was one thing I realized that was bad for me being a commission painter, but we can get into that in another time. But I need to move. Like I'm on the move. And sometimes when I'm meditating and then you have to be completely still and you're like, fuck, I can't move. Like I just want to
Yeah.
move like just my finger. Oh, and then I'm itchy. Oh, and then like
Yeah.
it's a lot of willpower.
Actually, talking about Slaneshi, you know what I've realized? When I meditate, one of the ways I get into it is counting in like orders of sixes.
Oh.
Which I, again, was like completely subconscious. But maybe, you know what? I often kind of wonder, like, you know what? We've put all of this energy about Warhammer out into the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Have we maybe secretly created Chaos Gods? Like, do they... Maybe not to the same level of power, but like, if we created the concept of these Chaos Gods and just sort of like whispered them into the void?
You're not wrong, because I've always loved the number 7. And ever since like really getting into Warhammer, I just see 7s like everywhere. And I've heard that saying with like corn lovers, they see 8s.
I literally multiples of 6, like those numbers, appear throughout my life with like weird frequency.
Like Dave took me to a restaurant in Niagara called 88.
Like, I mean, that might have been on purpose. That might have been like,
come on.
No, yeah, that's pretty. I guess, you know what? Yeah.
There used to be a restaurant here called 7.
There we go.
So, like, the 88 is, like, in his region. I had 7.
There. So 40,000 years from now, humanity, we're sorry that we did this to you. We created...
Sorry, not sorry, though? Like, in the world of Warhammer, I think that you'd want... Like, come on. We're the salvation of humanity. From the Imperium.
Yeah, but, like... not in the way you want it to be. You know what I mean? Like, when you think of, like, a hopeful, you know, next step for humanity, chaos is also probably not what you want.
Okay, if you want to eat corpse start.
Oh, no.
Your life, like...
The Imperium's also bad. It's one of those, like, is there an option C? Like...
Exactly, right?
We
were talking about gameplay and how there's just like the 2 options right now, which is the competitive and narrative. Where's option C?
Right. Well, I don't know if I know on your you've been away, but I have been starting to write narrative missions for the Patreon. So I don't know if you noticed those, but I'm trying to do my part to create an option C.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm pretty slow at it, but I've been...
Yeah, option C for chaos.
Right.
And look what you're doing. Creating that option. See? Chaos Gods, we're just options.
It's just a choice. You can make it or not.
Speaking of gardens, mine is doing awesome.
That's awesome.
My Nurgle's gardens.
I feel like we've had very good weather.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
both not
coming.
Too hot, not too cold. Like,
hot's coming, but...
What'd you plant?
Good. I planted tomatoes, cucumbers, zucchini, squash, green onion, and herbs. And I have like lavender and parsley that's coming back, some beans, just a little bit of everything. Like,
it's awesome.
Yeah. Peas, my favorite.
Oh,
and potatoes.
Garden fresh peas or...
Yeah. Like... If you really want to treat yourself, have a fresh pea off the vine. I don't even care if there's like bug poop on it, whatever. Like, rub it off your shirt.
No, those like the what are they called? Like sugar snap peas or whatever. Like,
yes, that's fresh. What I grow. The big suckers. Yeah, like they're called like sugar daddies. Yes, of course.
Oh, you got a sugar daddy, do you?
Oh yeah, they're growing. They're peaking.
That's awesome. No, there's nothing better than like, I wish where I live is I don't know, it might as well be a deer sanctuary at this point. So like, you can't grow anything. They eat it all. I tried one year, and like, it's bad. It was gone like within like a day.
Is it dry up there?
It is a different growing zone, I think, than Halifax. It is a little drier. And where I am actually is like, if you look at a topographical map, my house is like in this like tiny little circle that is actually the high point of like Truro. Like not the hill, but like where I am. So water just runs off. Like it is very difficult to keep any moisture in like the ground around here.
Is it very clay-like?
No, actually it is. It's like good, like loamy soil. Like a lot of good stuff grows in it. But which is kind of like what's unfortunate is that like, because like Halifax is rough soil. But no, up here is like it's a like a river valley. So no, it's actually quite good.
Just not in your circle.
Well, I can grow it, and then the deer come by and they go like nom 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 nom, and then
okay.
like it grows great. You're like, oh, that's growing great. I'm gone. Like I grew broccoli, and every time it grew a head, they would just eat the head off of it, and then like, so it never got bigger than like a little like sapling, not a sapling, but like whatever those are called, like a little. Like I didn't buy the seeds. I bought like the sprouts, so it like never got bigger than that because they kept eating it, like down to like the nub, and then it would grow back, and they would eat it. And I was just like, I'm not subsidizing the deer.
Yeah.
We were talking about maybe planting some like raspberry bushes. I feel like that would be like inside. We have a little fenced area inside there because I love raspberries.
I'm growing like a little raspberry stick. I don't know if it'll fruit, but I rescued it last year. It was like 50% off from superstores. I picked it up.
Is it still growing? Because it's
like coming
a bush.
back. Yeah, like it was starting to kind of die, but I put it in like its own little separate pot so it doesn't spread. So it's just gonna grow slower, but it's growing more and more. So
that's awesome. There's honestly like actual like fresh, just like pulled right off.
Oh, I know
the bush raspberries, them and blackberries. Oh, so good.
It's better than Swedish berries. Like they are literal candy.
Yeah, fresh blackberries are delicious. Blueberries and strawberries are good, but like raspberries and blackberries are. It's the tartness too. It's like the sweet and the tart. It's got more going on. They're complicated berries, you know?
I agree with that. I'd put raspberries over blueberries and strawberries. I find strawberries a little overrated.
I 100% agree that I like struggle with how much people love strawberries. I'm like, yeah, they're good. Like a good strawberry is great. Don't get me wrong. But so many strawberries are not good. And also the flavor that strawberries are is like so overdone at this point that like give me different things. There's so many other like fruits and berries out there. Like let's get exciting. Let's do fun stuff.
Yeah.
Like strawberry cheesecake? No, stop it. Just like think different. Just try something else.
Chocolate dipped strawberries? Nah. Pass.
Actually, you know what? The odd one of those though, when like actual fresh like Nova Scotia strawberries. Like a few of them, delicious. And then you're done. You're good for the next year.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know I'm an apple snob. Like, I have opinions on fruit.
They're here.
Right?
You're ready to square up with them.
So yeah, I guess what's you've been taking a little break from Warhammer.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of dipping your toe back in? Or are you?
Is that a response?
That is a response. You know what? That is honestly how I feel about Warhammer. Is like right now, it's just kind of like okay, you know what? I have a new codex right now. I've played one game with the new Chaos Space Marine codex, and I have put no effort into finding a second game. And you know what?
Wow.
I actually think there's a lot of cool stuff in there. I'm just so tired of beige Warhammer that it's like
Mm-hmm.
hard to care.
Yeah, beige Warhammer. That's a
Beige
perfect way
hammer.
to beige hammer.
Everything has to be something hair.
It's like that. Yeah, yeah. I relate with that. It would be like if you came to my house. I have, and if you have, it's full of color. It's full of like
Mm.
splashes of character. I am not a YouTuber aesthetic
Blech.
minimal person whatsoever, and I don't think Warhammer should reflect that at all.
No. I feel like we're currently in the like when you feed like a kid like spaghetti, like buttered noodles, like just like spaghetti with butter on it, because
Oh,
it's
and then
like
it
they're a
has
picky
sauce.
eater, and
Yeah,
and you're just like, oh, like you won't eat anything else. Like I just need to put something in your belly.
yeah.
I feel like that's what we have right now is like the buttered noodles of Warhammer, of just like there's not a lot of flavor, there's not a lot to cut, like you know. I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of room for it to be better. I actually don't think 10th is like fundamentally broken, but I think it's currently fundamentally boring.
Yep. But and balanced. Like,
Right?
it's there. But
Like,
yes, it's yeah. Yeah. Dumbing it down completely like it has just kind of like taken the, well, what's the point of bringing this ever? Like the fishing for twos and twos and not caring about why this character or why this has it. It kind of like, okay, let's suck the fun out of that. Okay, I'm coming to the game and I know that I'm gonna put my cheap unit here because points,
mm.
and that's just it.
I mean, I have there is a glimmer of hope on the horizon for me. I think the new chapter approved is going to be better.
Probably, and like I think I'm just tired and worn, and I almost want to be like, when you figure out your stuff, I'll come. But until that time, I'm not spending 60 plus bucks on another codex. I'm not spending more money because of FOMO. I'm not gonna do any of that. I'm not gonna keep up with these rules right now.
What if the Chaos Demons Codex comes with like a fun new like selection of Nurgle?
Like a pop-up book? Okay, then I'm sold.
I meant new minis, but you can have a pop-up codex.
I would rather a pop-up book than new minis.
You open up into the middle, and there's just a centerfold of Be'lakor that unfolds. The wings come out, and you're just there's a little thing that comes out of his mouth. It just says "rawr."
Okay, I'm in. Okay,
You're
you got me smiling and laughing. I love it every time I open my book. I feel that glee. Okay, that's that. I guess that's what I need.
You need pop-up books.
Pop-up codex.
You don't need pop-up video. You need pop-up codex.
I used to watch that all the time. I understand that reference too well.
I mean, honestly, if every time you open up your codex there was like a little fun fact, I feel like, you know what? Actually, that would make it. Or like the app, every time you like go to look at something, it's just like, hey, did you know this? And you'd be like, no, but cool.
Yeah.
I'd be into that.
Just a
As long as you can turn it off.
fun fact panel.
Be like, fun fact. Plague bearers used to be fun to play with.
That'd be fun. During a codex, just like base educational information about your army. Did you know that a beast of Nurgle is actually a maggot and it turns into a fly?
Right? Yeah.
Okay, I'm buying that. I'm so buying that. Because, like, that's something I would read. Like, totally just, like, what is the Johnny's Bathrooms book? Did you know? They should totally do a Warhammer version.
That'd be fun, actually. You know what? Actually, that'd be a fun way. Even like a Farmer's Almanac style, just like random stories and like, but like for Warhammer,
yeah.
I was just like, don't give me a new White Dwarf. Give me something that has random stuff from like White Dwarves of like time passed.
Yeah.
Like, teach me something new. Like, I was talking recently in one of the discords about like somebody was talking about like they had they wanted to convert some like guardsmen into like Tau auxiliary, and I was like, oh, Guevesa, and they're like, oh, is there a Tau word for it? I was like, no, that used to literally be a unit in the game. Like, you could in a Tau army bring guardsmen that had Tau weapons as like special weapons. And they were like, what? I didn't know that. And I was like, yeah, back in 4th edition, it was like a white dwarf thing. And they were like, and I was like, yeah, so there's like actually like a whole rule precedent for it, but also like, you know, there's like in the lore it fits because of A, B, and C. And so it's like, I feel like there'd be an appreciation for some of these old stuff that just like, you know, and like unless you find some old nerd who's just like, I was there when the old law was written, like, you know, be like, hey, if you open up your codex, they're like, hey, in 3rd edition, this was ridiculous. So you'd be like, oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
Reminisce, yeah.
Yeah.
Back in 8th edition, we used to roll 5 and 5s. 5 of invulnerables and 5 of feel no pains. What? That sounds so cool.
No, everyone has to roll 2 ups. Sorry, I just mean custodies. I mean...
Yeah. Just roll your 2s. Guys, just roll your 2s.
Just roll your 2s with full rerolls all the time.
Yeah.
Ugh. Actually, honestly, part of like...
And it's just a dice game at that point. Like, you're just like, okay, here's my territory over here, and we roll dice, and...
It's not even a dice game at that. Like, I don't know, if you're rolling 2s and 2s with full rerolls, you're just like, hey, I just do this.
Right, yeah.
I just do this. And you're like, oh, well, I have to roll dice, and they're like, sucks to be you, man. Like...
Yeah. I gotta roll 5s for my saves? Oh, no, 6s. Oops.
Oops.
6s is good, right? 6s are good to roll.
Oh, you misposition your Great Unclean one, so you don't get your 6-up Feel No Pain, because they're 0.1/8 of an inch off.
Yeah.
Blech. No. Yeah. I don't know, I saw there was a
How about I just get to do it because I'm flipping Snurgle and I don't care about this tiny 6-inch bubble. If I'm 6 inches like round, there shouldn't be a 6-inch bubble. It should be like 24.
Just like everything around you, you're just like bleh. I think that makes sense.
Actually, I'm surprised. Well, I guess it is the indexes were like the dumb version, but like the fact that Snurgle didn't get like a aura buff like the Death Guard, like I get this over the rounds that I become more stinky and more resilient.
No, by the time this comes out, they might have already been released, so this might not even be a rumor. But I think this week is going to be a pretty big rules change. Like, I've seen some people calling it like 10.5. Like, the balanced data slate is going to apparently... It's not going to be a slate, it's going to be the whole damn textbook. Like...
You know what? I just... You could say, new rules are coming, new rules are coming, new rules are coming, new rules are coming. I don't care. Honestly. Like... I
wasn't trying to convince you to play a game. I was just like... I'm just saying that, like, there might be that in there. There might be, like, a whole, like, change to everything.
Back to 8th edition Psychic Awakening, I am here for it. Because there was flavor, there was randomness, and I feel we were robbed of the best edition era in my lifetime in Warhammer.
I mean, in all fairness, I think demons are probably one of the most misunderstood and generally flailing about factions. I feel like since I've played Warhammer, demons have massively spun between what they are and what they aren't. Like, I feel like they have had the most inconsistent rules this entire time. Like, because for every, like, Psychic Awakening, you get, like, a 10th, like, bland Bellicor bomb. Or you get, like, weird 9th, like, no synergy.
Psychic Awakening was completely different. Like, it was...
That's what I'm saying. It's huge changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, Tau, you know, they're going to shoot. They're going to have marker lights. And they're going to have, like, gun drones. And they're going to have, like, big mecha suits.
Did they have that? Did they bring drones back for Tau?
They're, like, add-on war gear things. So, I mean, like, yeah, with 10th, they kind of got rid of the drone thing, but, like, they still have the other 3 components. And, like, they have since 3rd. Whereas like I feel like demons, like they alternate between being like very fantasy based to like being their own thing, which I think is what happened in Psychic Awakening. They were more of their own like 40k concept of demons, and then I feel like right now they're kind of this weird like half-baked Sigmar faction that like doesn't work in 40k.
Well, it was their first time really fluffing up the greater demons, and they gave them such cool abilities, and it was still set to be a gamble. You could pick one or roll 2 random ones. And I love that so much, because going to the table and be like, you know what? I don't know what my playstyle is going to be, but let's check it out. And then you play. It wasn't like I was coming to the table like, oh, I know what I need to do. It was like, okay, what kind of fun am I going to have? Boom.
I think the risk versus reward thing is like such a huge portion of Warhammer, and I feel like 10th that we've had up till this point has not had, like, there's just like, I don't know, for every like Biovore Spore Mine that is like scored in your backfield, you just like die a little bit on the inside because you're not interacting with it. There's nothing you can do.
Same with the Nurglings. I've done it because it's easy. Did I like it? Only because it was easy. It was like, okay, we'll go to the tournament. I kind of just shut my brain off for that type of unit. I know exactly where they can go. But do I want Nurglings to play that way? No. Like, I want them in hordes. I want them like in your face. I want them to go through walls. Like,
actually, you know what? Of the like weird throwing them in your backlane thing, Nurglings actually probably make the most sense. Some like tricksy little Nurglings getting up to mischief.
Okay, true.
Behind enemy lines is it makes more sense than like a Ripper Swarm.
I did feel like a little giddy when it's just like it's so ridiculous.
Like you just have to imagine them giggling the whole time. They're just like hee 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 as they like deploy a teleport over for some reason.
Okay,
like whatever.
You convinced me. You changed my mind. I love the game now.
I don't know if that's true or not.
No. Like you are right that I can admit when I have had my mind changed, and you've done that. Thank you.
But I think I want that. But if that's what they're supposed to do, then they should feel more mischievous.
Yes.
Like make them feel like they're like little sneaky like Nurglings getting up to no good, and like you know what I mean, like. There's ways of making that happen so that it doesn't feel just so like I'm playing this because that's what the rules are both best optimized to. Like, I don't know. It's like Warhammer by numbers, and it sucks.
Yeah, like there needs to be like that extra element. Like, if they are performing that, besides just getting points, what else do the Nurglings unlock? I feel like there's nothing to unlock. It's just boom, boom, boom. Next turn. Boom, boom, boom. Next turn. Boom, boom, boom. Next turn. But there's not like the death card, how there's a progression. I really like that idea. If you survive long enough, you get stronger.
Which also feels very Nurgle. Like Nurgle is this like unending, tough, like pressure, like presence. Like, you know, when I think of playing your like 8th edition lists, it was just 100% pressure the whole time. Like that's what you had. You had board control, you had pressure, you had presence, and it was a big deal with me, which is what Nurgle should be. Nurgle should be a like deal with me because I am like the plague god, and I am gonna be present.
I will regenerate. I will come to you.
Yeah, like I will.
I rolled a 1 on my morale. I'm gonna get that much closer to you.
Right. Like. You know, there's an unendingness to like when you think of the Chaos Gods, like Khorne is like fury and rage, and like Slaanesh is like finesse and speed, but Nurgle is slow. Nurgle is not going to get there very quickly, but when Nurgle gets there, they are unstoppable. And it should feel like that. Like when you, like, you know, we kind of joked about like the Kool-Aid Man Great and Clean One, but like Great and Clean One is like 70 feet tall.
Yeah.
Like,
which I guess, like, sorry, they've done the complete opposite, because I'm now really fast with teleporting, but I can't hit for crap.
Yeah. which is like not like when you think of Mortarion as a character, Mortarion is like he's the guy walking through the battle, like step by step, and as you watch him walk, like he's Darth Vader. He's like, he's not getting there quickly, but when he gets there, you're dead. And like you can try and outrun him, but he doesn't stop. And he is more powerful than you, and he will end you when he gets near you. And like that is the type of vibe like Mortarion has, is that like slow death march. And like that's what Nurgle is that like, you know, like Nurglings are mischievous, but like overall Nurgle is like tough. They are like, they're not fast, they're relentless. Like and you should feel like you're being chased.
Yeah. And
but
it's
not by a ton.
Well, it's a very unique playstyle too, because not many factions play that way. They're either fast and in your face, or really punchy, or really shooty.
Yeah,
that's what I liked about Nurgle. It was slow. It was, I'm gonna get there regardless. You better figure out what you're gonna do.
Yeah, and I think of like some of our best games are the ones where like I was standing there just like I don't know what to do, because I can't shift you, I can't stop you. You are able to do whatever you want because I let you get close.
Yeah, and there's still models on the table.
Yeah, for both of us, you're both still playing the game. You just, you know, you were generally in complete control. So, you know, you were the one scoring, but that's also what Nurgle should do. Like, you know, Nurgle gets to an objective and is just like, I'm good, man. I'm happy here. Like, thanks.
Yeah.
I'll control the box. Whatever the box is, I got the box. I'm not taking one step further. Like, Nurgle doesn't hunt you down and kills you. Nurgle waits for you to come to them. And then just, like, beats you to death with a stick. And you're like, oh, does a Space Marine die to a stick? Eventually. Eventually you'll do enough damage.
No, we kill with kindness and love.
Oh, you're a bunch of Care Bears, are you?
Yeah.
You're
yes.
Like, you go to your heart plague belly and you shoot love lasers at people.
Beast of Nurgle just want a hug.
They
That's literally what they want to do. They want to embrace you and love you, and they find you as like a new owner, like, oh, I can play with this. And then you die, and then they get sad, and then they get this seed of resentment that everything around them dies, and then they cocoon themselves and become an angry plague fly.
Did you play Dark Tide?
I tried, but my computer's just not up to, like, I don't have a strong enough computer for it, and I just couldn't handle it.
That's fair. No, for all the flaws with that game, one of the enemies is Beast of Nurgle. And when you have something that is, I don't know, 30 times the size of you running at you, it doesn't look like they want to hug you. It's not what that felt like.
Perspective, Flora.
You know, I know maybe we should have more empathy for Beasts of Nurgle. But when they're chasing you, screaming, and they are the size of, I don't know, a friggin' like Navy destroyer, you know, it's hard to feel that. Hard to like.
It's like seeing a mushroom cloud. Aw, it's all lonely.
Right. Like you know when you play Fallout and there's like a death claw, and you're like, I'm scared now. I'm dead. You're just dead. That's what the Beast of Nurgle's like.
Yeah.
You're just a little dead. And you know you're dead because they're faster than you. Like they get the hug,
but they don't mean it.
They can have the best of intentions. They're still filled with corpses.
Yeah. Underneath their slime, underneath their belly, just this trail of corpses.
If you think, like, you know, have you ever saw a snail and been like, hey, I wish this thing was like the size of my house?
I do. You don't know me, Laura.
Well, actually, I think I do, because I was fully expecting to say yes.
I love snails.
You know what? Snails are cool too. I don't know if I want them to be that big. If they're that big, I want to be bigger. I don't want to be smaller than a snail.
Okay. Yes. That can also be a wish.
Like, it's everything in proportion. It's the same as like spiders. Like, I don't want spiders to be that big.
Never. No.
No,
Ew.
that'd be terrible. Unless I'm also significantly bigger, and then I guess it'd be fine. It's all about scale. It's all about proportion.
Yeah.
Like, would you want to be a space marine, like plowing down Tyranids? No, they're terrifying. Like they're just too big.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, you are too big to be as fast and ridiculous as you are.
Is this the Tyranid to the Space Marine or Space Marine to the Tyranid?
Oh, Space Marine to the Tyranid. They will be right in clean one. You're like, hey, I'm a gene-enhanced soldier, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, I don't know, a friggin', like, a grain silo crashes through a wall and then, like, has a sword the size of 15 of you and is just, like, strength 8.
Boink. I was gonna say that's called humbling, but no, that's called irony. Like,
it's actually the Great Unclean One only knows how to use the flat end of it. That's the problem. He hasn't realized there's a sharp
using
end.
it as like a paddle.
Yeah, he actually he holds on to the sharp part and he just like hits people with the hilts.
It's almost like he's knighting them.
Yeah, and he
like,
goes,
no, Great Unclean One. No. We want to pierce them, not boink them.
He's like, boop.
yeah, boop. He's booping the space marines, and that's definitely what's happening. Because like the strength comparatively to the weapon does not add up.
No.
Why is there a way smaller sword that can be like strength 12? But
right.
This is an 8, so.
There's strength 14, 8-bound.
Yeah. Like, where'd
so,
that
like,
sword come from?
Right.
Where did my Walmart plastic bendy sword come from?
The Nerf sword. He just goes like, tag your ant, and then like runs away like, woo!
Yeah, it's like a sheet of vinyl.
You gotta at least upgrade to like the thunder sheet.
It's just a balloon weapon that he got from the fair.
It's actually Zinch, like, dressed up as a clown and gave Snurgle a bunch of like balloon swords, but really like glamored them. So he's like, oh, these are 100% real swords, and Snurgle's like, oh, sure. And all the Great Unclean Ones are like, what? Like floats away when they let go.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of the strength of our weapon to modern times. Can you imagine all the Great Unclean Ones with just balloon swords? But like in human size, so it's like just on his finger.
His little dog like tucked up behind his ear.
Yeah.
Yeah, at some point you wonder like, why don't you just step on things?
Or
just like belly flop.
Or poop on them? Like I'm pretty sure he's got projectile vomit and poop that can decimate crowds of.
You just gotta shake the cheeks.
Yeah.
The thunder cheeks and just like,
Have you ever seen a cow or like a hippo? Just like that with their tail.
There you go. Just let it go. Let it unleash the beast.
Unleash the Great Unclean One.
Well, thank you for coming back.
Yeah.
I've missed this.
This was good. It was fun.
Any other thoughts from your? What are we calling this? A Snurgly Odyssey?
No.
I kind of like a Snurgly Odyssey, to be honest with you. I think it's cool, but.
Meditations. I don't know.
Meditations by Snurgle Aurelius. That's it. That's it. That's there we go.
No.
That's going on the episode. If you've made it this far, now you know why it's called that.
Empress Snurgle.
I know it doesn't work that way, but I'd vote for you.
Really? Don't. Oh wait, that's how he did it. No. I mean I accept this duty.
There you go.
Right? That's what I have to learn. To accept
You gotta learn to accept things as they are.
Yes.
And have the fun you can while you can.
Yeah, Marcus. Yeah.
I'm someone. All right. Well, on that note, thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to Cast Divided wherever you're listening from, and you can find us on Instagram and YouTube at Cast Divided 40K. If you'd like to find us directly, we're at Nurgle_Snurgle and at Blushing Noise Marine. I think both of us are about as active as the other right now. So.
Oh my god, I know I'm not.
I've been bad for like even I've like painted things and even been like, oh, I can't be bothered.
I'm active on my 6 other accounts, so if you want to find me like what I'm doing, follow those. But
there you go. And until next time, bye-bye.
Goodbye. Ciao.